Good morning. Welcome to the Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. We are a spiritually diverse, justice-seeking religious community with one great aim: to grow in love. Love is the power that holds us together and is at the center of our shared values. I offer you these words of welcome and invitation from Unitarian Universalist minister, Reverend Joan Javier Duval. You are beloved, and you are welcome here. Whether tears have fallen from your eyes this past week, or gleeful laughter has spilled out of your smiling mouth, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you are feeling brave or brokenhearted, defiant or defeated, fearsome or fearful, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whether you have untold stories buried deep inside, or stories that have been revealed beyond the edges of comfort, you are beloved and welcome here. Whether you have made promises, broken promises, or are renewing your promises, you are beloved and you are welcome here. Whatever is in your heart, however it is with your soul in this moment, you are beloved and you are welcome here. In this space of welcome and acceptance, commitment and recommitment, of covenant and connection, you are beloved and you are welcome here. I am Gwen Reed, and I am serving as celebrant for this service. I am joined by Carrie Bastian, our music director.
Good morning. I'm Lillian Fifield, and you are now in the Umpqua Unitarian Universalist congregation. And you are very, very welcome here, all of you. And real glad that you're here today. We're doing something different today, and it's with great gratitude that I thank Jake Tranter, our media person, for his skills, and our Sunday services team for the way in which we are pulling together to continue to bring the highest and the finest services that we can every week of the month. And for our greeters, of course, today, Al and Mary, who so faithfully are here to welcome you, regardless of what is happening within here over the course of the next hour. And it's nice to have that kind of stability. So what I want to say to you today is that we are participating, asking you to participate in some of the changes that must come for future services. And the team has been looking at several different options, and today is the beginning of that search and presentation to you. What we have done today is we have gone to another congregation. We found a service that they did that we really liked, that was interesting and had variety and different from ours, and wrote to their minister and got a response from both their minister and board president that they were happy and privileged that we had asked if we could show their service. So we're finding that that's an option, approached correctly, that will let us bring a variety of different kinds of services on those Sundays when we do not have a minister and we do not have a local person here. A second option are services that many UUs across the country use that are provided by UUA. And they are services that are done by esteemed ministers across the country on different topics. And those ministers have agreed to put their services, their sermons up. Those sermons also come with a package of recommended chalice lightings and chalice extinguishings and opening words and closing words. Your team is exploring those, finding some a little dry, a little boring, and others enlightening and interesting. So we are looking for the best of the best, and you will be seeing one of those soon. A third option is one that many of you are familiar with, and that's inviting community speakers to come in and do the sermon around their organization and its significance and its importance, but our team will help them frame that as a sermon. The first of those will be in November. The organization is one familiar to us. It's FISH. And the executive director of FISH will be working with me, and she will actually do a 15 to 20 minute sermon, not just around what FISH does, but how important FISH is to our community, to the people who are really in need, and how significant each congregation's donation is to keep FISH going. So you'll get sort of an inside picture of our community in whatever way she brings that to us. We're also talking to some other community organizations. We'd like to do something on climate change. We've done something like that in the past with Stuart Lieberwitz. We're also talking to Blue Zones or Thrive. As some of you know, we have the privilege of having been the first Blue Zones acknowledged church in the entire town, and still hold that, though we've slipped a little bit into paper products. But they'll be invited and asked to come back and tell you more about how that organization has grown and how it is that they were able to pull people together to string a table all the way across a river and sell out and have people from all over the community sit down at a table with other people they didn't know and have dinner together. JC and I were there, and it was quite an experience. So they'll tell you about that and other things that are so relevant to our 7 principles. Now, the ask. We know that some of you belong to community organizations in town, and we're going to ask that you think about the people in your organization, and is there someone you can think of that in January, February, March, April could be a sermon presenter, could be here and talk about homelessness, talk about, I don't know, the outcome of the elections. That's probably not the best topic, but I think you're getting the idea. We know that some of you are involved actively in other communities. So that's another option. And the final option for right now that I want to talk to you about is something that always has been extremely important to this congregation, and we want it back. It's when our congregants get up and they do a sermon. Only don't think of it as a sermon. For a long time, we did a group here. It had different names, but basically it was an expansion of the UU 101 that Al did about a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. and had an incredibly positive response, and people want more, and I have begged Al a couple of times, and that's not really the answer because we need to get a little bigger than that. So what happens in this group? What happens in this group is that some people get together who are newer to our congregation, maybe a couple people who have been around for a while, and they talk with each other about themselves. How did you get here? What's your life been like? You were born a Catholic, and now you've traveled here. Tell us about yourself. And then eventually that person comes up and they tell all of you, this is who I am. And that's how we get to know each other. And we're missing that. We don't have those in-depth conversations. We have 2 very small covenant groups going. But other than that, we need that. We need that group. So I'm working really hard to find a way to start that up so that we can, as another option for a service, occasionally have a congregant who is ready and willing to stand up here and say, hi, my name's Lillian Fifield. I'm 84 years old, and this is my first church, and I never believed I would ever belong to a church because I'm a lifelong lesbian. And then who knows what I would tell you after that. So it's just you getting to know me and we getting to know each other. And that will happen over the winter months. And we hope that one of you in January, February, March, April will be one of the people up here. So that's the purpose of today's service. And we hope that, that you all will participate. And that, as we move forward, we can find the community groups, find the individuals in our congregation, and find the sermons that we really like. Also, you are welcome to sermon search other churches on YouTube. And if you find a sermon that you really like, let the team know, and we'll see if they will allow us to bring it here. We'll have some time, I think, for some questions. But right now, I want us to begin our service today, which will involve both Boise and home. Jake?
This morning, we join other Unitarian Universalist congregations who light a flaming chalice in our worship services to make sacred our time together. Lighting the chalice helps us to remember who we are and offers a guide to our journey of faith renewal. As we light the chalice this morning in our sanctuary, I invite those of you in our online community to light a chalice if you have one nearby.
Go ahead, Jake.
Kind friends all gathered round, there's something I would say, that what brings us together here has blessed us all today. Love has made a circle that holds us all inside, where strangers are as family and loneliness can't hide. You must give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. I've walked these mountains in the rain. I've learned to love the wind. I've been up before the sunrise to watch the day begin. I always knew I'd find you, though I never did know how. But like sunshine on a cloudy day, you stand before me now. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Love is born in fire. It's planted like a seed. Love can't give you everything, but it gives you what you need. And love comes when you are ready. Love comes when you're afraid. Will be your greatest teacher, the best friend you have made. So give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Give yourself to love, if love is what you're after. Open up your hearts to the tears and laughter, and give yourself to love. Give yourself to love.
Sometimes when we try new things, we miss a thing or two. And one of the things we missed today was the gong. We traditionally have struck the gong in our congregation for two reasons. The most traditional one is in honor of those who built this place, those who had that idea that our children needed a place to learn about values and ethics, and started a children's camp many, many, many years ago, over 40. And it became eventually time for meeting of the elders, and they got together for a worship service, and then they got a rented building, and then they borrowed a building, and then they got another rented building, and eventually they found our home here and worked and paid for all of this. So those are the people who came before us. And we also strike that gong for those who brought Unitarian Universalism to this country. They were the outlaws, and we still are in many ways. And then that second gong is for those of you who are here now. And it is what we are doing to keep our congregation alive and welcoming, and inviting others to share those 7 principles over there on the wall, to look at their own inner world, to see how they feel, about other entities and creatures that we live with on this world, and to see what runs us inside, what we believe, what our values are, what our ethics are, and how we translate those with other people when we interact outside of here or when we interact in here. And then that third gong strike is for our future. Where will we go from here? And that is our question now. Will we be one of these congregations that survives and thrives? Will we find some creative ways to continue to do that and to become a bastion of liberality, of honor, integrity, of values? Will we stay here? So that's our third strike. And we have another way or reason for striking that gong, and we intermix that sometimes in our service, and that's honoring the people who lived on this land before we came. That's the first gong. And the second gong is for how they have taught us how to live with them by example. The generosity that the Cow Creek Indian tribe and the other Indians in our area have opened arms to us and shared with us and given to us and helped create community with us. And the third strike is for our continuation of what we have learned from them and learned as Unitarians and learned from each other. And how will we find a way to continue that living together in the future? And that's for us all to watch. So that gong has a real important meaning to us, and we don't always share that. But we will find in other congregations why they use their gong. I thought we had a chalice lighting words for today, and I found that they did not get recorded, and that's going to happen. So in my mind, I have some chalice lighting words for you. We light the chalice today and every Sunday as a beginning, a new beginning every Sunday for an opening of ourselves to our faith, to what we believe in, to what we bring of ourselves, and to each other. An opening to listen to whatever goes on and what we can learn from that, and to have an opportunity to share with each other what we do learn. And so we light our chalice. And now we continue with Boise. This is a story.
So our story this morning is a really beautiful story at look at how we can say yes to life in huge ways. It's a bit bigger than candy. Our story is called The Water Protectors. Let's listen. We are water protectors. Thank you for noticing. Thank you for reading the title. We are water protectors. The screen is handy, huh? Water is the first medicine, Nokomis told me. We come from water. It nourished us inside our mother's body as it nourishes us here on Mother Earth. Water is sacred, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. The river's rhythm runs through my veins, runs through my people's veins. My people talk of a black snake that will destroy the land. Spoil the water, poison plants and animals, wreck everything in its path. When my people first spoke of the black snake, they foretold that it wouldn't come for many, many years. Now the black snake is here. Its venom burns the land, courses through the water, making it unfit to drink. Take courage. I must keep the black snake away from my village's water. I must rally my people together. To stand for the water, to stand for the land, to stand as one against the black snake. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. It will not be easy. We fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. The winged ones, the crawling ones, the four-legged and two-legged, the plants, trees, rivers, and lakes. The earth. We are all related. Tears like waterfalls stream down, tracks down my face, tracks down my people's faces. Water has its own spirit. Nokomis told me, water is life. Water remembers our ancestors who came before us, she said. We stand with our songs and our drums. We are still here. We are stewards of the earth. Our spirits have not been broken. We are water protectors. We stand. The black snake is in for the fight of its life. All these lovely people. Okay. What was your question?
What happens to the snake?
Well, that's the future. We'll figure it out. We'll see what we do to the snake. All right, my friends. Water is our earth teacher for this month. We will keep exploring that next week. For now, we are going to go have our religious exploration class. We are going to have fun talking about and moving like water today. Join me in blessing our beloved community with song.
What a beautiful way to teach children the 7 principles and remind ourselves. As the Boise service continues, they do what we do. They collect for various organizations and for themselves. So we're going to collect for fish, if I could get Larry or Casey to help out. This is for fish. We are collecting now for that wonderful organization that takes our monies and our donations of food and other things and provides that to those who need. And fish will be here later in the month, actually November, to tell you more about themselves. But know that your contributions every week are always appreciated and always put to good use. So thank you so much for that. Jake?
I think our children get more and more beautiful every year, don't they? When we give, we say yes to the practice of acknowledging the abundance in our lives. We say yes to sharing that abundance to build beloved communities within and beyond our walls. We commit ourselves to working for compassion and justice for all people and for our earth. As an expression of that commitment and living out our faith in the world through September, we share those gifts with our plate partner, Citizens Climate Lobby, which empowers everyday people to work together on climate policy, building support in Congress for a national bipartisan solution to climate change. And here to tell us more about their work in our community is CCL Boise leader Linda Ritterauger.
So they are going through their congregation and they are collecting your contributions to our church. We wanted to show you how another congregation involves other community organizations, and then later you'll see how they do their contributions to their own.
So, Lorraine, was that thing that you could put your phone up to, is there a way of giving some way, just, you know, is that something we can all do?
We can do that here. We do have the capacity to donate in another way, and you'll hear more about that as soon as we get the card slider. I think that's what we're waiting for, isn't it, Maria? Maria, do you know about that? Okay, well, what I know is that we need a special equipment, and it will enable you to slide a card for your donation, or as you come in the door in other congregations, you can slide your card and that whole part of passing baskets is left out. Again, what we're going to learn by visiting other congregations and how they do a thing. But you can donate to our congregation using a card, writing a check, or providing cash. And of course, the big donation is always being a member and pledging. So let's continue on, and thank you so much for the contributions you made today to our congregation.
I invite you to join in reading our blessing of the offering. We bless these gifts so freely given. May generosity always be our companions as we walk the holy path toward ever greater compassion and beauty. Thank you.
You have another piece on joys and concerns?
Each week, we take time to acknowledge the many joys among us and to grieve our many sorrows and losses, so that we might lift that burden for each other and receive the blessing of this community. It is through our sharing with one another that we forge deep bonds of community and connection.
in the candle lighting, I left out a candle because I wanted to talk about this person a bit. It would be a candle for Melanie Hill, whose celebration of life will be here next week. I believe it's on Saturday. And we invite you to come. Melanie was an amazing woman who gave her heart and much love, even when she could no longer physically participate, to our community, to its growth, to its people, with tremendous energy and humor and cleverness, and just a fascinating, interesting woman. When she was no longer able to be here, she had a vivid life on Facebook, and some of us followed her regularly, and some of us chatted with her when we could. So I, again, encourage you, if you knew and loved Melanie, to come join us for that part of the service. It's now a bit of a time for meditation before we have our Boise sermon. And what I'd like you to do with me now is kind of get yourself comfortable in your chair. If you are comfortable closing your eyes, let that happen. And let's do something with our breathing. Just begin with some slow, deep breaths in, and then slowly out. Sometimes it's very calming to breathe slowly and deeply through your nose, and then release through your mouth until absolutely all that breath comes out. So in and out. In and out. I offer up for meditation today that you take these next few moments to think about what we have been talking about so far, about are you, your feelings, your love, your engagement, and your future here. So we'll take a few minutes. As you're ready, bring yourself back into the room. I'd like to give you a brief introduction to the sermon presenter from Boise today. Her name is Carrie Bastian. She's their music director from Boise Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. She says that she is a lover of arts and literature, and that her husband David is an English professor, and he composes hymns for their monthly services. She's a huge fan also of opera and traveling the world. We have some folks in our congregation like that. But her most notable experience was hiking the Camino de Santiago in Spain and leading a musical pilgrimage through Transylvania. So that tells you she's a little different. She also has a lot of energetic passion and dedication as music director, and she believes in leading programs from the heart. And remember, she was the children's story, so that gives you another idea of how she teaches UU principles. So let's go now to Jake and Carrie Bastian.
And when Reverend Sarah asked me to speak, I just really wasn't thinking through things clearly, that this Sunday would fall at the very beginning of the school year, and I would be swamped with registration forms, instrument assignments, and loads of email. The email. All right. So I went home and begged David to help me. And because he's amazing, he reluctantly said yes to wife. So thank you, David, and thank you, Gwen, for sharing all of this with me today. As a child, I attended Sunday school and learned Bible teachings. So when I first heard the theme, invitation, it was an invitation issued by Jesus in his Sermon on the Mount that first came to my mind. From the King James Bible that I grew up with, in Matthew chapter 7, it reads, "Ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you." What man, it's always men in there, but you know, they mean women, right? What man is there of you whom if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? If ye know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? In my younger years, there were many occasions when I would ask Heavenly Father for the things I needed, the things I wanted, to help me do well on a test at school, or to heal a beloved injured pet, or just maybe for the boy that I liked to like me back, even though I knew I really shouldn't bother him with things like that. And the response was mixed. At times I felt like indeed my prayers had been answered, and other times what I sought seemed to be withheld. Now, not all Unitarian Universalists are okay with the word God. I am, but I think of the divine differently now, more as a holy mystery or the creative dance of the universe. And speaking of dance, sorry, aside, thank you so much. It was beautiful, and I was all choked up, and it was wonderful. Thank you. But I see the divine as a creative dance in the universe, and I see the sacred in all things: trees, rocks, clouds, the stars, and in all beings, especially in the faces of those I love. Or in the words of Victor Hugo, to love another person is to see the face of God. I think we all share that holy spark. At some point in the last decade, it occurred to me
that if I have just a bit of that divine energy within me, as do each of you, maybe you could answer those who ask. Perhaps I could give to those who seek, and we could open our doors to those who are knocking. Maybe we could flip Jesus' invitation. An Easter reading by Victoria Weinstein reinforces this idea. Here are a few excerpts from her reading, Being the Resurrection, in which he is Jesus. He is not coming back unless it is we who rise for him, we who lay healing hands on the reviled and rejected like he did. We who love the sinner, even knowing that the sinner is no farther off than our own heartbeat. He will not be back to join us at the table, and so it is you and I who must feast for him, must say the grace and break the bread and pass it to the left, and dish up the boiled fish or pour the wine and pass it to the right, and treat each one so tenderly, as though just this morning she or he made the personal effort to make it back from heaven or from hell to be by our side. Because if by some miracle he did come back, wouldn't he want to see us like this? Wouldn't it be a miracle to live for just one day so that if he did, by some amazing feat, come riding into town, he could take a look around and say, this is what I meant. Now, in my daily life, I do not always succeed, but I try to tune in to those who are asking, seeking, and knocking, who are in all kinds of ways, direct and subtle, offering an invitation to answer, to find, to open. Some invitations are clear and easy, like when my granddaughter comes running up and says, "Pippi, do you want to play with me?" The answer is, of course, and I probably have more fun than she does. Other invitations are a bit more indirect, but they are there all the same. We might see someone struggling with bags and boxes, trying to get through a doorway. Could we ease their struggle and hold the door open? It's not that hard, just common courtesy. But there are other invitations hidden in the messiness of living. One of my favorite podcasts is 10% Happier. The host is Dan Harris, and he talks with meditation teachers and meditation practitioners of all stripes. He also takes listener questions. On a recent episode, a listener called in to ask Dan about a situation, an invitation, if you will. The listener said he'd been doing a fair amount of the metta, or loving kindness meditation, where you send thoughts of goodwill to yourself and out to your fellow beings. Despite this practice, the man found himself in a quandary. He'd recently received really bad service at a restaurant. Part of him felt justified in leaving a measly tip, but then his loving kindness practice kicked in. Would that really be the kind thing to do? The caller was conflicted, but I thought Dan had a great answer. He said something to this effect: "Dude, I get it. You'd be totally justified to stiff him on the tip. But yeah, I've been doing the metta too, and I've found that if instead I leave a really nice tip, maybe even a little extra, along with a note on the receipt that says something like, 'Hey, I hope your day starts going better,' I feel good." It's not even really about the tip or the message it's sending or what that guy deserves. It's that I'll feel better, like I did something good. I don't over-tip because I'm this really great, generous guy, and I don't do that because I want to feel good, I don't under-tip because I want to feel good when I leave the restaurant. Psychologists call this the helper's high. Maybe you have altruistic motivations to respond in kind and helpful ways to the invitations extended by those around you because you just want to be a good person. But maybe you just want to feel good and get that dopamine hit from doing a good deed. Maybe it's a little of both. I say it's all good. And I think there's a ripple effect. When we feel good, we tend to do more good and create less harm in the world. And when we help someone, they feel good. And maybe they in turn do more good and less harm in the world. It's win-win. Sometimes the invitation you need to answer is your own. Maybe your body is asking you to slow down. Maybe your weary soul is seeking a rest. Maybe answering yes to life means ignoring the knock at the door and just saying no. Healthy boundaries have a role here too. So when we tune into our own needs and the needs of those around us, we can be the divine intervention for ourselves and each other and answer yes to life's invitation to love. May it be so.
I'd like to take some time now for sermon conversation, but also reactions and responses to what that sermon was really about and what our future sermons may bring for us when we are streaming from other places. We can choose to not be here, and then we miss having congregation. Then we miss having connection. And then we miss having each other. But we also miss something even more. We miss when we do not present our own congregant sermons, knowing that we are Christians and that we are Jews and that we are Catholics, and that we all have histories. And we need to get to know each other. And that's a pitch for the Sunday Services team. And I hope those listening from home can hear this part too. We need to be creative, and we need more people to help us do that. And we can end up with boring live streaming shows, or we can end up doing some research and having some fun if you know how to use a computer a little bit, and like YouTube, and have a little freedom to create some funny, interesting, stimulating kinds of sermons. So I'm asking you after this sermon to think about this experience and futures. There are 3 weeks in some months and 2 weeks in others that we have to play with. Anyone like to say something?
I think that I would be eager to be involved in that, because most of us came to Unitarianism because we were not fulfilled where we were going, or our belief system was not getting any belief, so to speak. But as I listened to this woman speak this very simple thing that she did, I heard her tell about knowing what wasn't being said, and that she was choosing, or the man was choosing, to do the kind thing because of what could reverberate from that. So the thought of being poorly treated, the thought of having a bad attitude, things like those were there, but he actively chose not to do that. And that is the courage of your convictions. And so, as simple as that story was, I felt, I have done that. But I also have just turned away and not spoken from my heart. And that's a loss to myself.
Next. Casey.
I really liked the sermon. You know, when I was in college, we studied a little bit about near-death experience, and they all said the same thing. There's not some God that judges us, but they sort of judge themselves. They have this cinema-like view of their life from beginning to end. I think the most painful things, the most cringe-worthy things are the things we're not proud of, things that we said. Even in this lifetime, we don't have to wait to die. We still think about, I shouldn't have said that. Or you feel good about giving a gift because it's better to give than receive. And you know that when you give a really good gift and they love it, you feel good about yourself. So I think we are our biggest judges. And to save ourselves the cringe after we die, when we have a life review, we build up the good things, I think.
Someone else.
This is not a comment about our recent discussion, but I was thinking about what Eileen said in earlier moments when she said she missed all the congregants that used to give so-called sermons. And I remember the first time I came to this church, there was such a discussion. Of course, I knew absolutely no one except my future husband that I was attending with at the time that I came. So I didn't really know what to expect. He had told me this was a different kind of church. I was really amazed and kind of appalled at what the speaker had to say. It was a lady new to this congregation, and she was a teacher, and she had a lot of negative comments to say about where she was teaching and a lot of really nice things to say about where she used to teach. And I left wondering if this is the way every Sunday would be if I came to this church. Turned out I stuck it out, and it wasn't that way, and we did have a part-time minister, eventually a full-time minister. But back to my original thought, I too really miss those sermons. They're not really sermons because they're not based on any religious faith or anything like that. They can be completely off the subject of church. But you do get to know each other. And over time, they fill in and everything kind of comes out even. Some are not very good and some are excellent. And I would really like to see us get back to that. Our younger people might enjoy hearing about how some of us used to be.
Any other comments?
I still would like to meet and talk about some of the articles in the UU World. So if anybody else would, all we have to, I mean, there's stuff there to talk about that's very challenging. So, my number's in your list. Let's pick a day. I'm glad to do it.
So, about thinking about some future. We're about thinking about where UU is going. And we're going to have a congregation conversation next Sunday. And I hope that a good piece of that will be about that subject. I'm needing to step down, as some of you know, for health reasons. So the weeks and weeks and weeks of winter groups that we've had in the past, I won't be doing this winter. We're going to pick out a few really important things, but we need to look at how we are going to continue to bring each other together. And one of the things that I would say to June, I believe that you actually were coordinating covenant groups after you were in one, weren't you? Did you ever pass a list encouraging people to sign up for covenant groups? I ask you that because I sort of have a memory in here of you having passed a list around, and I signed it probably 10 years ago, and I just want to say that that group still meets today every single Monday morning from 10:30 till noon. And we lost a couple people who moved away, like Ann Claire, who comes back and does a sermon once in a while, and a couple of other people, but others have filled those spaces. So we are still 8 people strong, living, loving, and supporting each other in every way we can. Came out of a covenant group. So as we're thinking about our future forward, keeping people connected means finding ways to create those connections. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, and I probably said far more than I should have, but we've got some closing words and closing music, and then we'll extinguish the chalice. Jake?
Our next hymn was written by Hal H. Hobson. The text is from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 1 through 3. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. Please join me in the spirit of prayer with these words adapted from Reverend Lynn Cox. May we be inspired by the beauty of this day and the company of those assembled here. May we answer the invitation from the breezes of change, clearing our heads and bringing fresh ideas. May they cleanse our minds of the oppressions and isms that divide us. May we be encouraged by the flame of hope, the heat of righteous anger, the warmth of compassion, and the fire of commitment. May they bubble the cauldrons of transformation. May healing waters flow over us and through us and among us, wearing down the sharp rocks of despair to bring joy in the morning. May we be grateful to the good earth beneath us, around us, and within us. May we take this clay and co-create a new realm of justice and beauty. We accept life's invitation to love and commit to building, sculpting, painting, singing, and dancing it to life, to abundant life. So be it. Blessed be. Amen.
When the nights are bright with stars, or come when the moon is mellow. Come when the sun is cold and Mars drops on the hayfield yellow. Come when the sun is cold and Mars drops on the hayfield yellow.
Come in the twilight soft and gray. Come in the night or come in the day. Come, O love, whene'er you may. And you are welcome, you're welcome. Come, O love, whene'er you may. And you are welcome. You are sweet, O love, dear love. You are soft as the nesting dove. Come to my heart and bring it to rest. As the bird flies home to its welcome nest. first blossom blows. Come when the summer leaves and goes. Come with the winter's drifting snows. And you are welcome, you're welcome. Come with the winter's drifting snows. And you are welcome. You are sweet, oh love, dear love. You are soft as the nesting dove. Come to my heart and bring it to rest. As the breath flies home to its welcome nest.
Friends, I invite you to place your hands over your hearts for our closing blessing. As we have been blessed, so we bless one another to be a blessing. Feel the love of the universe flowing through this community into you and out into the universe again. Let the love of all the universe, your love, flow outward to its height, its depth, its broad extent. Give hope to those you encounter that they may know safety, be happy and at peace, healthy and strong, caring and joyful. Be the blessing you already are. That is enough. May it be so.
We have 52 Sundays. Jake, we have a closing song. And anyone who wants to share comments, you can just talk to me after the service.